What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Alex. Welcome to Alex Sports Talk and Bets, and we gotta have an honest conversation about prime time, man. It's a conversation I don't want to have because, like everyone else, I love Prime, man. It's one of my favorite players of all time, the best cornerback of all time. Some people might argue Rod Woodson, Charles Woodson, Darrell Green, but if you say Prime Time's the best cornerback of all time, no one's gonna say you're crazy or that's ridiculous. All right. He can't coach. I'm sorry. He can't coach. And I'm starting to question if he even really wants to be at Colorado. If I was Colorado, I'm their athletic director, I'm already making the exit plan. I'm going to be honest with you, because I just don't see Deion staying there. And I'll elaborate on that further in the video. But let's just start with why I'm saying that Deion Sanders can't coach. Deion Sanders has a problem winning the big game. I love everything he did for Jackson State and HBCUs. But even when he was at Jackson State, he never won the big game. Jackson State would go undefeated, and then they would lose in the end-of-season bowl game. Every year. They never won that end-of-season bowl game, right? Now, that's not the main reason that I'm saying that he can't coach. This is just part one of me building my case. Deion doesn't know how to build a team. Why do I say Deion doesn't know how to build a team? Which is a huge flaw as a coach at the college level. Because Deion doesn't understand that the trenches wins games. You got to have two things, right, to be dominant really at any level of football, but especially in college football. And that is a quarterback and the offensive and defensive line. You got to win in the trenches. Deion got the quarterback. Shedeur Sanders is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. I got no problem with Shedeur. Anyone hating on Shedeur, trying to say Shedeur is not one of the best quarterbacks in the country, is either an idiot or just a flat-out hater who's illogical. Here's the problem. Deion got Shedeur, and then he went immediately for skill players. He went out and got Cromartie McClain. Let's go back to last year. He went out and got Cromartie McClain, #1 rated cornerback in the country. Even when he was building that Jackson State, who was his big-time recruit? Travis Hunter, the #1 cornerback in the country. And it's like, I get it. That's easy for you. Any top-ranked corner in high school is going to want to come play for Deion Sanders because he's the best cornerback in NFL history. Here's the problem. He went out and got Jimmy Horn. All right, he went out and got, all these wide receivers. He got Dylan, I can't remember his last name, Edwards or whatever, the 4-star running back he had last year. He built through skill position is the point I'm trying to write out to you guys, all right? He got a bunch of cornerbacks, receivers, and running backs. He did not build the trenches. Hence why last year Shedeur was by far the most sacked quarterback in the country. Shedeur was getting killed out there. All right? Now I don't understand how you coaching your own son and you don't care about him being protected. That's weird to me. But even on a deeper level, how are you building a football team and your primary concern is getting the top-ranked corners, receivers, and running backs and safeties, but not defensive and offensive linemen? That should be your primary concern. Guys, you got to understand something about football. The biggest thing that sets the FBS apart from the FCS is the trenches. Most FCS schools can compete with FBS schools on the skill positions. All right, they got fast kids too. They got kids who can shake you up too. They got kids who can leap too. The problem is they get beat up in the trenches. Big people beat up little people. All right? Now, here's the problem. You would have thought Deion learned that lesson after they got their asses handed to them all year last year. But I'm looking at Colorado this year, and they have the same problem. They're not good in the trenches. North Dakota State should not be getting through your offensive line like that. If they're scoring, that's one thing. But they should not be dominating you up front. Colorado could not move them off the ball, and Colorado could not keep them off their quarterback. This is the same problem you had last year. You have this problem again. You can't secure your trenches. Another problem Deion had last year, they couldn't run the football. A lot of that had to do with weak trenches. Guess what I seen again this year? They still can't run the football. To the point where it's fourth down, right? I'm sorry, it's not fourth down. It's the fourth quarter I meant. Less than 2 minutes in the game, you're up by 5 points. Why are you throwing a bomb to LeJounte? Why are you throwing it at all, let alone a bomb? Just run the clock out. North Dakota State got 2 timeouts. You know why they're throwing the ball? Because they knew if they ran 3 times, they were going to get no yards, and they were going to have to get the ball back anyway. So they were trying to throw the ball to get one more first down to end the game. That's not good. This is an FCS team. Don't give me the nonsense, all right? Well, North Dakota State's not a normal FCS team. They're elite at this, they're elite at that. All of those numbers you see for North Dakota State, guys, was from the previous regime. North Dakota State has a whole new coach, all right? So all that, they were 7-1 against FBS schools, 9 championships. The Christian Washington, Trey Lance's, that was from an old regime. That is not this regime. As a matter of fact, North Dakota State hasn't been an FBS school in over 3 years. The last time they played an FBS school was 2022 and they lost. All right, so they're still a competitive team, but they are not the powerhouse anymore. That would be South Dakota. Either way, you should be able to beat them up in the trenches. If they're equal to you on the skill positions, it makes sense. An FCS school should not be equal to you in the trenches. Not only were they equal to you, they were better, honestly, in the trenches than you were. The reason you won was because of your skill position. Here's the problem. You're not going to get away with that against the other teams in the Big 12. You're going to have to be able to run the ball, and you still can't do it. You're going to have to be able to protect Shedeur, and you still can't do it. You're going to have to be able to stop other teams from running the ball, and you still can't do it. Colorado has come into this season with the exact same flaws they had last year. They have the best quarterback in the country, arguably the best skill positions, arguably. I'll put their skill positions up there with anyone, but they suck on the line. As a result of sucking on the line, they can't run the ball, they can't stop the run. They suck in defense as a whole still. Did the defense look better in the second half than it did in the first half? Yes. Do I have any faith this defense is going to hold up at all in the Big 12? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't have any faith this defense is going to hold up in the Big 12. Not only is the defense still trash, not only is the trenches still bad, but Colorado is still an undisciplined team. You get a stop in your own territory against North Dakota State, and what does Shiloh Chanders do? He gets called for a flag for targeting, automatically giving North Dakota a first down where they went on to score on that drive. How many times have we seen Shiloh Sanders get called for targeting? At what point do you realize you can't do that? The same flaws. This is my big problem. This is why I'm saying Deion can't coach. He doesn't understand you have to build a team from the trenches. He puts the same team back out there again with a whole bunch of flashy skill position players, but they still can't dominate the trenches. They still can't stop a nosebleed. They're still making undisciplined targeting calls and making untimely penalties. I don't see the improvement in Colorado. I'm looking at this Colorado team. It looks the exact same as last year. I know some of y'all are going to say it's only one game, but I don't see where it's going to be any different. Then people give the excuse of, oh, well, he has 61% new players on his team, so you have to give him some time to get these new players acclimated. He had a high turnover last year. Now, listen, last year I gave him a pass for having high turnover, right? Because he was inheriting a 1-10 team. What the hell you want to keep them around for? But why did you have high turnover again? I'll even give you a pass on Cromartie McLean because he seems like a head case. But why did Dylan transfer out? That was your prize running back. Why did he leave? Savion Washington, who was your best offensive lineman, also left. And when he left to go to Syracuse, one of the first things that coach said, okay, and he said, no disrespect to Deion, but Savion is a good player. He wasn't being coached up right. He wasn't being taught the right way. And I believe him. Because Deion has a whole new offensive line this year, and they're still trash. He has a whole new defensive coordinator this year. They're still trash. You know why? Because he does not put enough of an emphasis on the trenches. The team is built to be too flashy. It's built to be too flashy. It's not going to work. And I'm going to tell you something else. And this is why I said if I was Colorado, I would be preparing for the future. Again, I gave Deion Sanders a pass on the high turnover last year because at the end of the day, that team was 1-10 he was inheriting. There is no reason he should have 61% turnover again this year. Deion is not developing players. Deion is not even recruiting freshmen. He said out his own mouth, yeah, I'd rather just get transfer portal players than get freshmen and build their bodies up and build them up in the system. What Deion fails to realize is freshmen and recruiting and redshirting and developing players is how you build a culture. When you just keep bringing in transfers from all over the place, you can't build a culture that way. You got to reteach the playbook. You got to reteach installs. You're going to get off to a slow start every year. And what are you going to do? When they don't make the college football playoff this year, hopefully they at least make a bowl game, you're going to turn over 61% of your team again? You can't build a program like this. You can't build a program outside of the trenches with skill position players. You can't build a program not recruiting high school recruits because you don't want to take your time developing them. You can't build a program relying on transfers every single year. You can't be a transfer king like that. Transfers are supposed to fill the gaps that you couldn't cover with recruiting. You're not supposed to rely on transfers to fill the team because you cannot build chemistry and cohesion that way. Deion should understand these things, and the fact that he doesn't makes me feel like he's either a terrible coach or he just does not care. And he just wants to get the best skill position players around Shedeur so Shedeur can go to the NFL and Shiloh can go to the NFL and his adopted son Travis Hunter can go to the NFL. What does that leave you with next year? What does that leave you with? Who is even going to replace Shedeur at quarterback? You're going to go back to the transfer portal again? You should have already had the quarterback you want to replace Shedeur in there this year, developing, learning the playbook and installs, watching Shedeur, picking Shedeur's brain. I guarantee you, if Deion Sanders even stays at Colorado, he's going to go right back to the transfer portal to get a quarterback, which means we're going to be right back waiting for this team to be cohesive, which means the team's going to have no chemistry again. I mean, how many times are we going to have this excuse? How many times? You cannot run a program like this. You cannot establish a culture like this. You cannot build a team like this. You can't. You can't. And it's like Deion's not learning that lesson. He's not. Something's off. What's going on in your trenches? Why are they never good? Fired his defensive line coach. Brought in Warren Sapp. Okay, the defensive line should be better this year. We'll see if they're better or not. But here's my thing. Let's say they aren't. They didn't look that good last night. You're going to fire Warren Sapp? You understand what I'm saying? You can't run a program like this. When people say the Colorado Buffaloes are a circus, this is the crap that they're talking about. You're turning over 61% of players every year. You're firing coaches left and right. You refuse to build through your trenches. You refuse to develop recruits. It just seems like this is a ploy to help Shedeur, Travis, and Shiloh get to the NFL. And where's that going to leave Colorado? Hopefully, if their AD is smart, he's already planning to hire another coach. I just don't see it long term, guys. I don't see it. He can't retain kids. Why would Dylan leave? Why is Savion leaving? People talking about it's not his fault these players decided to leave. Yeah, I mean, he must be doing something wrong. Why are they all leaving? No one's thinking, why are they all leaving? Everybody wants to play for Coach Prime until they play for Coach Prime, it seems like. If you're not a skill position player, everyone darts on Coach Prime. A running back is a skill position, so that's the one exception, right? Besides his running backs. If you're a wide receiver, cornerback, safety, it seems like you stay. You're an offensive lineman, defensive lineman, running back, even a linebacker, they leave. Why? At a certain point, we have to ask ourselves why every kid wants to play for Deion Sanders until the kid plays for Deion Sanders. I'm just being honest with you guys. We'll revisit this in week 6. Because I know it's going to be people in the comments. You crazy, Alex, you crazy. We'll see. We'll revisit this in about 6 weeks. But I'm telling you, I don't see their defensive line being dominant. I don't see their discipline issues changing. I still do not think they're going to be able to run the ball. I still do not think they're going to be able to pass block, which is the exact same issues that they had last year. It doesn't look like they've improved at all, irregardless of North Dakota State. So we'll see what happens, man. But at this point, I'm questioning Deion as a coach. I am. He couldn't win the big game at Jackson State. And he doesn't understand that you have to build the trenches to win at a high level in the FBS. And I don't really understand why he doesn't get that, because he played football. He should know better. I don't know. I personally think he just doesn't care. That's me. And he's not recruiting because he doesn't plan on developing anyone, because he doesn't plan on staying there. Why else wouldn't you recruit? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Y'all can leave y'all comments. I am Alex, and I am out, y'all. Peace.